was a gun.
I'm not voting.
If we want to build our nation.
The problem with the Somalians.
Just want to experience something else than a black man.
Move on, move
Can't be like a horse with blinkers on.
Honestly say, I was about to have sex and then I pulled
crap,
up.
but it's nice.
Alexandra is my full name. I'm a law student at UCT. I'm 23.
My name is John Ramutla. I'm a fourth year civil engineering student and I'm the postgraduate academic chair of the SRC.
I'm Tato Pule. I'm 22 years old and I'm the chair of transformation and social responsiveness in this UCT Student Representative Council.
I'm Marcus Gavronski. I'm 19 years old. I'm studying business science in finance with accounting. I currently vice chair the debating union on campus, as well as serve as the Secretary General of the Commerce Student Council.
My name is Zizi Popai. I'm an economics and statistics student at UCT. I'm in my final year. I'm 22 years old and I'm the Vice President External of the SRC. UCT has for many years been a very elitist, very white supremacist institution. And exalting figures like Cecil John Rhodes just instills that message. I mean, as a black child who has been working for a number of years to kind of set myself free from an inferiority complex that I suffer from, seeing Cecil John Rhodes every single day and seeing him in exaltation just reminds me every single day just how inferior black people are in this country. I think it's a shame that UCT has taken this long to, first of all, even have a conversation about the statue of Cecil John Rhodes. And I mean, the motivations that people bring to keep the statue here have been nothing but pathetic. You know, people speak about how you can't erase history, or how whenever black people see something that offends them, they want to destroy it, etc., etc. And I mean, nobody is trying to destroy history. Nobody's trying to hide away the past. Rather, we are trying to create a university environment that all students can find pride in, and all students can be able to relate to and feel as though they belong. Because right now, as a black female student, I don't feel like I belong in this institution.
The fact that there is not even one single black professor at this institution is quite disturbing. From my first year till now, this is my final year of civil engineering, never had black South African male lecturing me. The black lecturers who sort of came and lectured in some courses, they are from other African countries, which I think it's amazing, but then we can do better than that.
The percentage of white students at UCT is 39%. The percentage of black students is 21%. And then the rest of it is a mixture of colored, Indian, etc. So the white population, if you split the populations according to their race groups, the white population is the biggest one on our campus.
My dad was around at UCT also doing business science during the 70s, and huge amounts of sort of student protest around the issues which were going on in the country during apartheid. And I was speaking to him last night about what it was like being on campus during that time, and it's huge amounts of movement. And I think in many ways we've seen some degrees, as you say, of diversity on campus. But does that mean that we have cultural acceptance? Does that mean that we have social acceptance? Does it mean that all cultures and values and viewpoints and traditions are valued equally? I think in many ways, if people of an African culture were to come wearing, what they'd consider like meaningful traditional dress and wear that on campus, socially that would be seen as strange. And so it's how we create a space for all students to enjoy and feel as though that their culture, their views are respected, encouraged and promoted equally and fairly within society.
UCT was one of the universities that fought the hardest against the apartheid regime. When the vast Cape Town community supported apartheid legislature, UCT fought it tooth and nail, and yet UCT is not playing that same role as it supposedly did back in that day. So UCT, and I think also takes it to another level. You know, UCT praises and exalts figures like Jameson and Beatty and Rhodes, who are the absolute epitome of white imperialism and supremacy. So I think that UCT definitely needs to do better. This is where the intellectuals of the country are. So surely the intellectuals should be setting an example. This is the institution that is educating South Africa's leaders, and definitely needs to do better.
UCT is also a mirror image of the heteronormativity and the gender binary in the country. UCT is supposed to block all of that out and establish a new kind of transformation that's taking us forward. And that's essentially what I think the Cecil John Rhodes statue boils down to, is that call for transformation to start at the statue, because it can't start from Bremna, because that's why it was boiled up till this point.
Yeah.
Students fought against the new admissions policy because we felt that it wasn't really going to address bringing more black students into the university. It was then basically saying that if your parents were fortunate enough to go to a university like Fort Hare or to get a teaching diploma from a university that black people had to go to, you would equate that to a white person being able to go to Wits or UCT or Stellenbosch during apartheid. And that cannot be that we equate them together. And I think the way in which the university passed that admissions policy, they didn't follow the proper processes, they didn't listen to us as students. And that's another way in which they insult us as students and our demands for real transformation.
I think personally speaking, in terms of white students, we have a number of students who perhaps do feel somewhat frustrated, okay? When all of a sudden they get turned down from jobs, when all of a sudden they feel as though, you know, their best friend from high school didn't quite make the cut. And they feel degrees of frustration. I think that necessarily, in my mind, isn't always racism, although sometimes soft discrimination can be present and is present on campus. But I think it's also a degree of, I like to think, just naivety. I think as students, what we need to do most of all is look to educate our fellow students about the issues on campus. I think just at the same time as we have students who have these sort of frustrations around transformation, these issues. We also have, I mean, for instance, today there's an event happening on campus called Project White Privilege. So it's aiming to educate, it's white students trying to educate their fellow white students about the privileges which they've had, the privileges which have stemmed from apartheid, but also the privileges which come internationally, the ones which come because we are so prevalent within the media. We have dominated standards of beauty throughout society and all these other issues which I think are so prevalent.
I thought it was quite ironic. At the first protest, or what people call the Pooh protest now, there were 2 porta-pottas that Khumani had brought to the statue. And I thought to myself, this is the first time that probably many white people have seen a porta-potta in their entire lives. And if you're in Khayelitsha or in Gugulethu or Langa, you experience this porta-potta on a daily basis. There's it just also shows how I think racism in the city it's completely not dealt with, and UCT is a microcosm of that. And it was just amazing to see people's reaction, like, oh, there's shit and you've thrown it at the statue. And I'm like, but you don't complain about the condition of sanitation for black people in Khayelitsha at all. It doesn't ever cross your mind. But until somebody flings shit at the statue, then you want to complain about these issues.
It was really interesting to see, in my mind, the diversity of students who spoke out about this issue. We saw many black students speaking out about this issue and being very vocal. And we also saw, in my mind, numerous Indian students speaking about it, numerous colored students speaking about it, numerous white students as well speaking out about this issue, and also their views, and many, in my mind as well, also in favor of the whole idea of taking down the statue, or at least an idea of transformation on campus. But I think also one thing which we need to think about is there's so many different organizations all championing this Take Down Rhodes movement, We have, Rhodes and the dialogue which he started. We have Project White Privilege. We have Luton, some of the work they're doing there. We have Black Monday. We have the SRC themselves. And so it'll be interesting to see how these groups come together, how they interact, how they compete, how they champion, whether or not leadership emerges out of these various groups on campus, so the degree to which they're all in solidarity. And when it comes, once we actually get the statue down, then what? We have these various different organizations who've been championing this very issue, all feel strongly about transformation, but is there differentiation between these groups when it comes to issues of gender? Is there a differentiation on issues of sexuality between these groups?
We have to recognize that this is a movement against the university and a movement which unites us. I think all the projects that Marcus has mentioned, I think the fact that the White Privilege Project, it has hundreds and hundreds of students. If you look at the page, white students are engaging with this issue because you find that white students have to first deal with their own privilege first. And that means they might not be able to be at the forefront of this struggle, but they are playing a very important role which needs their buy-in. And moving forward, we need a very similar strategy with male privilege, with heterosexual privilege, with able-bodied privilege, and I think this is the first step in building a united society.
On Friday, the Student Representative Council will be leading a march where we've invited a student body of 27,000 students to join us on a march from Lower Campus UCT to Bremner. Bremner is the building where the executive management of the UCT sits. So at this point, we have not been using violence. We have not been using any form of intimidation concerning this matter because we don't want to go in that direction. And I don't think that it's necessary for us to go in that direction if management just cooperates. And I don't think it's difficult for management to cooperate. It's a decision that they just have to make. However, the management needs to realize the fact that although we are not inciting war or encouraging violence, in fact, we completely do not encourage violence at all. This is an anger that has been boiling over for years. Management honestly needs to take this seriously. If a student can put himself in a situation where he's throwing human waste, that is touching his own body at a statue, it shows the level of aggravation.
If management says no, or they bulldoze us with processes and referendums and council meetings, students are going to tie ropes to that statue and pull it down, or they are going to do something worse. I think people know the consequences of what that means. And we know also how the state reacts to protests like that. We've seen with Marikana.
They need to listen to us now. Like, we want that statue to go as students. And then from there, we're going to engage on other transformational matters at this institution. So as a phase one, it opens up the doors to a variety of things that we want the institution to solve. So it's important that with this decision, we are not drowned with procedure. There's about 6 meetings or discussions or committees that the university now wants to go through, but yet they've had more than 20 years to do that process. But now we're supposed to now buy into that system after the protest. So it's a lot of it's sort of delaying tactics as well. There's a lot of trust between the students and management. So it's very important for management to take a decision that will lead the country into a new era in terms of transformation.
My dream would be to end all inequality in the world and in this country.
My dream, it is very simple for this institution. I see a UCT that is inclusive, a UCT where all students are feeling welcomed. I see a UCT where all religious groups are playing a vital role in maintaining peace in this institution.
My dream is to make the country, the institution, as welcoming as possible to people who are marginalized. That includes Black people, the LGBTI community, disabled people, and to also emphasize other aspects of transformation such as volunteer work, outreach, and to just build a united society.
My dream is, I think, that we can heal a lot of the pain within our society, because I think what we create after that is what we're all truly fighting for.
My dream is to see a South Africa and an Africa that celebrates its own identity and doesn't seek recognition and doesn't seek acceptance from a Western culture and a Eurocentric tradition, but one that celebrates its own people, its own languages, and its own cultures.